Test, test, test. Test, test. Test. Hello there, YouTubers. Long time no see, and welcome back to my channel. It's the 28th of the first month of year 2026, and I beg your pardon for having my the background settings entirely changed since something wrong occurred to my Dell laptop, which I often use to to do my thing, do my daily chores with. So that one, apparently, the laptop, more specifically, it's Windows 7 OS seems to refuse, to load or to start, it's so-called the Windows Manager or desktop Windows Manager, and every time I attempted to restart the system, every time it says something wrong or there's a problem starting the program, so blah blah blah, since it can't load the VPN application can't load, can't run either, so currently within mainland China's within the beg your pardon, the territory of the Great Firewall. I'll need such application to bypass the internet censorship and restrictions. So hence I am streaming with my ThinkPad laptop instead. So and yes, I wouldn't say that a lot has happened to me or around me over the past several weeks, but certainly I met loads more setbacks, and hence it took me. I beg your pardon. Hence, it took me quite a while to sit in front of my PC and so that I can talk to you guys and share and further exchange more thoughts and ideas about life, about the about the daily struggles and pain and annoyances associated with having to live this life to the very end. But that's kind of beside the point. So what is going on, Seeker? How have I been? Not so good, to be absolutely honest. But I don't know, but yeah, I met plenty of setbacks trying to to set my things on the right track. So far in year 2026, um, this has been better quality. You think? Maybe not. Well, as for me, well, the way I see this live filming session, I don't really, um, I don't really. How should I put it? I don't really perceive that the quality of filming has improved drastically, or quite, or that you know dramatically. But still, at least you guys have no problem whatsoever hearing me and seeing me live here on YouTube. Yeah, so yeah, I just like to in during this live filming session, as always, I just like to to kind of try to do something productive per se, say by making the best use of nutrients and carbohydrates I not so long ago ingested. And since, yeah, but yeah, so let's just say that um, the past the past still exists in many senses, in many aspects of life, since the memories, the histories, or the records, or the accounts of the past, of the pretty much a large portion of the entire history of human civilization still survives and exists, you know to the present, to as of today and tonight as we speak. Things, fine arts, blah blah blah. Those, and yes, of course, on top of that, the memories of your loved ones who have unfortunately passed away still lives on, and hence, the past exists, in that sense. And not to mention, that how the past are still how the past is still affecting our lives to this day. You know, in terms of um, in terms of our thought patterns, behavioral patterns, even circadian rhythm, even your current life, even your very current life routine, your very current daily habits, daily behavioral patterns, they do not they do not occur or exist out of vacuum. They occur as either a direct or indirect result of your past thoughts and actions that you can't ignore, unless you you admit that you are a highly delusional NPC. um, yeah. So I beg your pardon, but yeah, to be absolutely honest, nothing much has happened, either to me nor around me over the past several weeks while I was pretty much absent, from creating more videos on YouTube. But of course, a lot has, I have, done a lot of thinking, a lot of reflections as usual, as always, over the past several weeks while I am pretty much absent from YouTube. Yeah. So yeah, what else? Well, I beg your pardon, for the noise. Apparently, um, coming from upstairs, as much as I can perceive and suspect, my upstairs neighbor might have been using some sort of a generator, either a petrol or even beg your pardon, or even a solar powered generator upstairs, as I can pretty much hear that sort of wavering, you know lingering noises, that hum, that hums waves of sounds, pretty much every night here. And yes, currently, yes, I'm sitting here at a chair in my grandma's room. Also, pretty much, I wouldn't say my early, my room of my early childhood, but I certainly, spent around, say, for not a significant, well, at least a significant portion of my childhood in this room. Maybe say around 3 years, 2 to 3 years. Yeah, two and a half years tops, I guess. Yeah, but not that long. And I certainly don't want to show you my the room in which I spent a large portion of my early childhood, since my um that wicked woman lives there. That says that's pretty much an enemy or a hostile territory. So which I still very much dread, you know um dread of revisiting, since I from time to time I have to revisit it in my dreams, or I should more likely nightmares. Though although there are you know an increasing number of YouTubers, of creators on YouTube, saying that they'd rather prefer living in their dreams, even if they're not nightmares, you know, to living in the reality, or the physical, the tangible part of the matrix. Maybe even, I don't know, but maybe even our dream world still, you know, still, more or less, still either pertains to the matrix, or still even belongs to the matrix, even physically, not just spiritually or non-physically, if you catch my drift. Yeah, but yeah, it is. I beg your pardon. It is just freaking sad, that we have to live. We have to you know, carry out, our daily chores, our daily routines, so that our corporeal form, our corporeal flesh can continue to exist, to function, to exist. I even got tired of, say, long time ago. I pretty much, you know ceased, to brush my teeth or splash some cold water onto my face on a daily basis. So yes, but right before I initiated this live stream, I I brushed my teeth and I splashed some cold water onto my face, in order to look more presentable to you guys. And yes, I will probably, have to cut my hairs again, maybe say in a couple of weeks or in a month or two, at most. I don't, expect, to just, not cut my hair, for 3 or 4 months more. But yeah, I just yes, the about the title of this live stream. Yeah, you know it's pretty much self-explanatory in British posh accent. And it occurs, to you as such a weird sensation, to splash some cold H2O onto your face, and and then, having to drink some pure black coffee to keep your in order to retain your sanity and sobriety. you know yeah, I kind of, hope or pray that none of you guys out there have to experience this, since it's not exactly, a pleasant experience, to say the least. But maybe it can strike you or occur to you as something, maybe exciting, though not necessarily something pleasant or or enjoyable, to say the least. Yeah. Just checking if I missed or overlooked any messages you guys have sent so far. Yeah, no, so far not at all. Great. Yeah. So yes, like I said, nobody cares, and in particular, more specifically, to put it more specifically, in case you are a dude, no, just bear this in mind. Nobody cares unless, unless, your well-being or your status, can significantly affect their status quo and well-being in turn. And that kind of, brings out, the kind of, a life hack that I would like